Hi, I'm Suzy Rhoades with PassMasters. If you are taking your property and casualty insurance exam, this video is for you. It's covering one of the more difficult topics, Commercial General Liability. I will go over CGL basics. You need to know the different coverages provided by a CGL. There are coverages A, B, and C. Coverage A is for bodily injury and property damage to others, for which an insured is negligent. Bodily injury and property damage to others. Coverage B is for personal injury liability and advertising injury liability. Coverage C is no fault. Coverage C is medical payments. Coverage C is the only coverage that is no fault. Coverages A and B require that fault is proven, that there was negligence on the part of an insured. The CGL is a policy that is written for generally a year. The CGL under coverage A provides coverage for various exposures. What are those exposures? There are 3 exposures that you must know under coverage A. We start with premises and operations liability. So the square footage of the business that's open to the public, its sidewalks, its parking lot, will determine the premium for premises liability coverage. Premises liability applies to others that experience bodily injury and or property damage on a business's premises. Premises always goes with operations liability. So if you were a general contractor building various custom homes across the city and others, not your employees, but others were to get injured on the job site, operations liability would apply. So the first exposure or hazard that coverage A applies to is premises and operations. The second one is products and completed operations. So many businesses manufacture products. The premium for products liability will be based upon the business's gross sales or gross revenue, along with how risky are the products that they're making. Are they a paper product company or do they make kids' toys? The kids' toys would have a much higher risk, a much higher premium. Products liability applies after the product is out of the insured's control. Products liability in a CGL not only applies to the products that the business makes or manufactures within the coverage territory, it also applies to products that they sell that they didn't make. So products liability, it goes together with completed operations. So operations liability for that contractor is while the custom homes are being built. Completed operations applies after they're done being built or once they are completed, just like the name sounds. The last exposure or hazard that is covered by coverage A is what is called insured contracts. Lease of premises is an example of an insured contract. Sidetrack agreement elevator maintenance agreements. Those are the three the test really likes. A CGL will not provide coverage for a contract that indemnifies an architect, an engineer, or a surveyor. Never those kinds of contracts. Very specific types of contracts are considered insured contracts, thus covered by the CGL. To prevent the insurer from having open-ended liability, the CGL is usually written on what is called a claims-made policy form. So what this means, claims made, is that let's say that the coverage period is 1/1 to 1/1. Not only does the bodily injury and property damage have to have occurred during the policy period, but the claim report must also be filed during the policy period in order for coverage to apply. So we see this claims made policy form, CGL, and professional liability policies. When a CGL expires, there is what we call a tail of coverage. So the tail of coverage, there's what's called a basic IRP, extended reporting period, and there is a supplemental IRP, which costs extra, the client must pay for and add via an endorsement. The IRP extends the reporting period. If the policy was not renewed, in order for coverage to apply, the claim must have occurred during the policy period and the claim report must have been filed during the policy period or during this extended reporting period, claim report. So long as the claim report was filed after the policy's effective date or retroactive date, depends on the policy, CGLs are most commonly written on claims-made policy forms. So that's the basics of the CGL. I hope you learned something. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and turn those notifications on. If you have any questions related to this video, just ask me in the comments below. If you'd like to check out PassMasters' full course offerings, there is a link in this video's description. Thank you so much for watching. Keep up the good work. You got this. Study, 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 pass!